the answers, no good answers. I could find you, I could find
From the Sporting News Studios, this is the Fantasy Football Show with your host, Matt Litevsky.
I got all the answers, all the answers. I could find you, I could find all the answers. If you let me get it close and study you.
Big week 3. We're back. This time Eric Ferreira is actually back. He was in Las Vegas last weekend. And I was ready to talk fantasy football again.
Yeah, how were the ratings last week with me not here?
Better?
Were they?
Yeah, they were.
Right.
They were. We didn't get your listen because you only listen when you're on.
I was promoting. In the casinos.
Sure, it's all over.
Sports books.
All over. Let's get that.
I got us some fans.
Let's get that billboard up. Billy Haynes, Sporting News Fantasy interns here. We should mention Eric Ferreira, DAZN employee, fantasy football commissioner, longtime participant in various fantasy sports.
Yeah, I mean, my reputation precedes me.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it's funny because our first segment, we kind of put ourselves on trial and talk about what we got wrong. You get to avoid that this week, even though you would have gotten stuff wrong.
No. I didn't get anything wrong last week.
Yeah.
I had 8 days in Vegas and actually came out profitable.
That's pretty good.
That's really good.
I mean, like real life, you're talking.
Real life. And
yeah,
real
No one
cash.
cares about that.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying,
fantasy football.
Nothing went wrong.
You're not
last
interesting
week.
enough for people
And
to
me
want to
and you,
know about
I think
your
it's fair to
personal
point
life.
out, because last year we were terrible record-wise in our fantasy league. I think it's fair to point out that we're both 2-0 right now.
That's right.
So
I was fortunate this week. I was facing Drew Brees and Alshon Jeffrey, and even throw
How'd they
O.J.
do?
Howard in there.
How'd those guys do?
Two guys who exit in the first quarter. O.J. Howard
was it
doesn't
your
get the
punishing
target.
defense that did that to them?
Look, after Thursday, I was facing McCaffrey too, who didn't. That's his worst game of the year. And O.J. Howard got shut out. I said, "Look, guys, save it. Just get some yards." Let's just
do what you got to do to win.
Play to the score.
Got it.
Because I worry about record. I want points, of course.
Right. I mean, we have a prize
money.
on it. We have a prize on it. Don't discount
but I said,
week
you know
2
what?
points.
Just get a W. Get in, get out. We'll worry about week 3. Save those touchdowns for later. That's my managerial style. So we are going to talk about what we got wrong last week. Of course, we're going to hit up the most popular search players, trending players, lots of that this week with the quarterback injuries and some interesting pickups and things like that. Then we're going to get into our good matchup, bad matchup segment where we run down all the positions. Not saying start or sit. We're just saying give a second look.
Tell you what to do.
You're your own man, like we said last week, or woman. It's your own team. Make your own decisions. Take some responsibility. But we will go over some what look to be good, bad matchups, some things like that. We'll get into sort of some random stuff. We got a lot of revenge games this week.
So many revenge
Well,
games.
you were giving me the list before, and I'm not sure I agree with all of them. You got some coach.
By definition, they're
coach
all
revenge
revenge games. We have a
games.
kicker revenge game.
Kicker revenge game.
You don't see very often. Yes. But anyway, we will start by looking back very briefly at what we got wrong last week. I think our biggest whiff.
So who said Ryan Griffin's a sleeper last
I think
week?
we both did.
Why?
Tight end Ryan Griffin. The Browns have been one of the worst defense against tight ends since the start of last year. They gave up 2 touchdowns in week 1 to a tight end, and Quincy Enunwa was out. It just felt like a Ryan Griffin game, as often happens.
And then it very much was not.
And he got 1 target, but he did get a stat.
He did get a tackle.
A tackle.
Thanks to Luke Falk.
So he was an IDP
Yes.
sleeper for you guys.
So he was an IDP sleeper.
In your tight end IDP slot.
and you guys have both agreed on this.
Yeah.
We were both all in on
We
the
play
Browns
the
sucker
numbers.
against tight ends.
He had 4 targets in week 1. He was semi-involved.
Okay.
I don't know what you want.
I don't know if I would have let that. I would have shut you guys down.
No, you're really smart. And then we were down on David Montgomery. We said we don't think you can play except for Tariq Cohen in PPR. We're not sure we want any backs from that game. We were mostly right. We were right with the Broncos guys, but then David Montgomery goes out, 18 carries, dominates touches in the Chicago backfield. Is there going to be an overreaction though? Now are people on Easy Street thinking Montgomery, nothing to worry about, and then this week we're going to see Mike Davis more involved again, etc. That happens sometimes.
Well, it's Washington, so there's probably going to be a lot of carries to go around.
Okay. Probably. I mean, why do you say that? You're just assuming they're going to blow them out?
Well, not blowing
When are the
out.
Bears going to blow out anyone? They stink.
Maybe this week.
Maybe this
It
week.
could be this week.
But I just think sometimes people go, oh, well, now this is the trend. It'll never change. And then it changes.
It could definitely change.
And I mean, I think.
But I feel like 18 carries to 3 carries is sort of
it's emphatic.
pretty much committing to Montgomery.
But here's the thing. We could say the same about the Tampa backfield. This time last week, everyone thought Ronald Jones was about to take over in that backfield. And then Peyton Barber goes out, gets 23 carries to or 22 to Ronald
23
Jones'
to 4, yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, and the opposite could happen again. So some of these situations, especially with young backs, I think are a lot more fluid than we like to think sometimes. is my only point. Another thing we got wrong, I got this wrong. I was like Terry McLaurin was not necessarily a 1 week wonder, but he's a rookie receiver on a bad team. You really don't play him. And then he goes out and has another good game.
Yeah,
so the question with him,
Terry.
like, is he for real?
He's probably as for real as you can be on as like a Washington receiver, right?
I hate Washington.
They're not good.
They're bad.
All right. Fair enough.
I mean, he's killing our boy Trey Quinn.
right.
But they got to throw to someone. Mm-hmm. We knew they needed to throw to someone. We just thought it'd be Quinn more. And
Yeah.
this guy's all right.
Yeah, he's all right. He's not bad. I still don't really like him, though. I'm going to double down on
What
it.
do you have against him?
I don't know. I don't
His
think he's
name's
that
Terry
good.
McLaurin. That doesn't exactly
It's not a good
scream
name.
wide receiver.
don't
Yeah,
like
it is
the
a
team.
good name now.
I don't like the team. You guys talked me into it. Washington's not very good. And,
We had to tuck you into that?
talk me into it. And no, I
He
just
sounds like he's some sort of like distributor of some kind. Like
An importer,
where do you
exporter?
get where do you get your who do you order from? Terry McLaurin.
Oh yeah, Terry McLaurin
right,
over
you're
at
right.
Tyson Chicken. He always sets us up with good bulk discounts. Yeah, I mean maybe, but I still think Trey Quinn's going to wind up leading that team in targets when it's all said and done. Now whether he has a lot of production, I don't know. But Paul Richardson's still around too. They still like their tight
Paul
ends.
Richardson.
And then, they play the Bears this week, so I think that's a horrible matchup, and he's not going to do anything. But anytime a rookie, 2 games, 2 touchdowns, again, fantasy owners are like, well, this is how it's going to be.
That's good pace.
I don't know if that's how it's going to be. We'll find out. We did get a few things right last week, though, didn't we?
What'd you get right?
The biggest thing we got right was Mozart.
Yeah.
And me, I did a 5-minute pre-diatribe on how Mozart and Jeff Wilson Jr. are going to annoy the hell out of Matt Breida owners, and sure enough, it happened.
Did you guys talk about how right we were 2 weeks ago when we talked about Baltimore rolling up on Miami, throwing 50 up, where we talked about the Deshaun Jackson revenge redemption game? Did you guys at least promote us a little bit last
You're
week?
trying to do things we were right about 2 weeks ago?
I'm
I wasn't here.
asking if you guys talked about that.
Why
all
didn't
last
you
week.
listen and find out?
I
Oh,
was
right,
busy.
because you only listen to hear yourself talk.
No, I was busy.
Yeah, okay, you were busy because you live such a great life. Yeah, I'm sure we did talk about some of those things. But anyway, let's look ahead. Let's focus. You brought us 2 weeks back. Let's focus.
I
on
always
the
look
future.
ahead.
Yeah, no, you just didn't. You literally just didn't.
Literally?
Literally, you did not. You do not always look ahead. So we got to hit up search engine. And we're going to go back to an oldie but a goodie, ask.com. They always come through. It's the 4th most popular search engine in the world. So good enough for,
They're quality.
A handful
They're
of people
quality
out there,
search
good
engine.
enough for
Quality
us.
search engine.
So we hit up their analytics to see who are the highest trending players, most searched players, most talked about players. I think this week it starts with the 2 quarterbacks who got injured. Ben Roethlisberger out for the year, and Drew Brees out for, they're saying 6 weeks. Could be less, could be more. He does have smaller bones because he's short, so maybe it heals faster.
He's
I
pretty
don't
jacked,
know.
though. You seen like his veins popping up out of his arms?
Yeah, he's jacked.
He's pretty jacked.
He's jacked.
Just saying. He's
Yeah,
pretty
he could
jacked.
probably bench a lot
For a quarterback, he's pretty jacked.
for a short
I'm staying
quarterback.
out of
They
this
probably show
conversation.
up more because of his short arms, but
Yeah. Well, he's a glamour muscle guy, too. We all know that about Drew Brees. So,
popcorn muscles.
right, that's right. Yeah, he's got that beach muscles. All right, so let's get to how their injuries are going to affect the other guys on their team, because that's what's most important. How's it going to affect Juju? How's it going to affect Michael Thomas, Jared Cook, Vance McDonald? Everyone loves the Mason Rudolph to James Washington connection. Just they went to college together. They tore it up in the preseason. Eric, fill me in.
I got Rudolph with 65% completion in the preseason. 4
This
TDs.
year or both the last 2 years?
This year.
Okay.
I didn't take the time to look up last year.
Why would you?
4 TDs, 2 of them are to Washington. I mean, I'm not saying that like he's going to
College
light
teammates.
up Washington, but I think this guy might be all right.
Mason Rudolph.
Yeah, he might be all right.
Right, so that's the question.
And maybe Washington gets a little bit more love from him.
Well, and I mean, he's going to get more love because Dante Moncrief
Right.
can't catch.
yeah.
So that just should happen.
To me,
no
that's
matter
the
what.
biggest, that flip-flop could happen.
Okay.
Anyone who's worried about Juju, I mean, come on. They don't go to practice and say, like, you guys have such a great bench connection.
Well, no.
Let's avoid our number 1 receiver. Like, Juju's
It's
going to be
not
all right.
that, but it's just the outlook on Juju 2 weeks ago has definitely changed.
It's gone down, but I'm still
So
positive.
we both
about it.
own him.
Yeah.
You don't, right?
Juju?
Yeah, and
That's
any-
correct. I don't own Juju
So
anyway.
you be unbiased about this and tell us what we should expect going forward.
I mean, like, if we were saying he was like a low end of the top 10 of receivers before, maybe he's like 13 now. Like, I think he's still, I mean, he starts every week for you. He still has a good season. I agree with Eric that I think Mason Rudolph's like pretty good. He was like a high 2nd round pick when they had Ben Roethlisberger. So
He was that high?
yeah.
Okay. For some reason, I thought it was a fourth rounder. But
second and
yeah, all
third, I
right.
think.
Yeah, and Roethlisberger was threatened and was like, I'm not going to help.
I mean, the Big 12 is a great conference, so
Yeah, it's great.
he had great numbers.
He
there.
used to be great.
And he looked fine even in sort of the like scramble of relieving Roethlisberger last week. I think that like compared to what we saw and probably will see from Teddy Bridgewater, I feel way better about Mason Rudolph sort of generally replicating what that offense is.
Maybe Teddy Bridgewater. Maybe.
Or
Because Sean Payton is being
He's being coy.
cat and mouse.
He's being coy.
Yes.
I'm not that
secretive.
Like I believe that when a quarterback comes into a game mid-game, you cannot totally say that's what he's going to be
No,
after he
definitely.
gets
Right.
a week of practice. And, we don't know if Teddy Bridgewater was sleeping in the back of the meeting room all week because he's like, I got Drew Brees.
Yeah, he never gets hurt.
I don't think the ship has sailed on Bridgewater yet.
He's interesting, but apparently the Saints don't feel great about him if they're messing around with this Taysom Hill stuff.
They're trying to
Is it
get
legit?
other teams to prepare for a running quarterback.
I think they are. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's going to be Bridgewater. I do think Taysom Hill might play more. We might see more of those packages, though.
Yeah, I was surprised that he was playing wide receiver last week.
Personal pump
Considering he was like stealing TDs from Breeze when Breeze
Right,
was
and
healthy.
Kamara.
Now Breeze is gone.
Yeah.
And now he's playing wide receiver. Like, I don't get it.
Well, they can't expose him at quarterback to take away from his punt protecting responsibility.
Yeah, true. You need him there.
So, yeah, Michael Thomas, though. So we're saying Juju, yeah, slight downgrade, but nothing much. Michael Thomas, I actually feel in a way worse about Michael Thomas, but at the same time, it's like if Bridgewater's going to keep throwing short or intermediate routes, that should be good for Michael Thomas for catches.
Big target. Great route runner. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I feel like these kinds of things hurt all the extra pieces that Drew Brees makes look great.
Like a Traquan Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And then,
But we don't know. The fact of the matter is we don't know.
thanks. Real helpful.
I mean, it does feel like that there will be less. Like, I mean, Breeze and Thomas obviously have had a ridiculously good connection, right? So for every week he's not there. I mean, Bridgewater once in a while maybe he bounces one or misses them. I mean, like Breeze threw short a lot too. It's not like
it's fitting.
Stylistically, I don't know if they're that different, but like,
Right.
if Bridgewater's just less efficient at what he's doing, like it does hurt Thomas.
And then can they sustain those drives? Those 3rd and 6 that Breeze would complete, they don't. Bridgewater can't. They punt, less touchdown chances, etc.
more punt protection for Taysom Hill.
That's right.
I do think
One way or
too,
another, he'll be on the field a lot.
As much as we speculate on backup quarterbacks and stuff, on if they're any good, I mean, the Saints gave him a lot of money to be their backup.
they like him.
And they see him every day in practice.
And they knew they had Taysom Hill.
Right, and they knew they had Taysom Hill. So I'm cautiously optimistic about both guys in Pittsburgh.
Well, and the other thing too, people
and New Orleans.
people shitting on
better than
Bridgewater.
Luke Falk.
Okay, sure. People
That's a great take.
People going after Bridgewater though. He was playing one of the best defenses in the league too,
yeah.
with Aaron Donald, and people sort of like he sucks, write him off
I mean,
after
way
a
too
half.
early. Way too early.
Way too early. I agree. Still don't like the 2 gloves, but whatever. He's got his own thing going. But I don't think it's gonna hurt. Theoretically, Kamara should get the ball more. But will he?
Or
I don't
Latavius
know.
Murray will get the ball.
Yeah,
more.
exactly. They could do weird stuff there, but ultimately you're still starting those guys. Same with James Conner if he's healthy, although we'll talk about him
If
in a
only
little
Taysom
bit.
Hill qualified another position.
If only.
That would really be the story
That would be
here.
game changing. And,
That would be-
and then if he became the starter,
That would be game changing.
like if he qualified at tight end.
Game changer.
And
Or
then
a
became
punt
the-
protector. If
Right.
you're in punt protector leagues,
Right.
which I'm in 3. So,
Really?
yeah, he's the first pick.
Yeah, I would. That's like our fantasy baseball day game only league where it's just Cubs first round. So, all right, let's get to the other one. This is just so many guys to talk about here. It's just Chiefs, backs, and receivers. They got a bunch of injured guys. They got a bunch of breakout guys. It's so strange for the best offense in the NFL to have this many question marks. And yet, because of Patrick Mahomes, we're all just like, whoever they put back there is going to produce. So we'll start with the 2 running backs, Damian Williams, LaShawn McCoy. Damian Williams with the knee injury, LaShawn McCoy ankle. Totally up in the air. Is one going to be out? Is both going to be out? Neither. Who knows?
Yeah, Williams isn't practicing today.
Right, and they don't. I think they said McCoy was going to try, which doesn't sound good.
He's going to try and practice. He's a veteran of trying.
So then
and
my
practicing,
boy Darwin Thompson, suddenly
It's time to shine.
interesting.
It's his time to shine.
Yeah, maybe. And then with the receivers, obviously Tyreek Hill got hurt. We knew someone was going to step up. We kind of thought it'd be Hardman because he fits that profile a little bit more, the straight line speedster. But then he comes out, he has a good game. Could have been a much better game if 72-yard touchdown hadn't gotten wiped out on a hold. But Demarcus Robinson is the guy who just blows up and is kind of the number 1 waiver pickup, I think, in a lot of leagues this week. Just the outlook on everybody. Let's throw them all in a big pot. How are we feeling? We'll start with the receivers. How are we feeling about, Robinson and Hardman, basically?
I think they're both startable wide receiver 3 flex guys as long as Tyreek Hill's out.
So that would mean because Watkins and Kelsey are getting started. So that's 4 guys from the Chiefs passing game that are basically, we're not going to say every week starters for Hardman and Robinson, but at least in the discussion.
Right. I think we saw. I mean, it's an upside thing, right? Like if your other wide receiver 3 option is like Christian Kirk or like Sterling Shepard or something, like you probably like the Chiefs guys upside. It's closer.
All right.
Again, it's all context, but I think the upside of those guys both. I mean, we saw Robinson's. Like you said, it could have easily been Hardman who had almost as good a game. Like
they had the same amount of targets.
Right.
Robinson played 13 more snaps.
Right.
So pretty similar in those regards.
Yeah, exactly. I do think the one thing that'll get sort of undersold here is like Sammy Watkins is still the guy.
13 targets.
Like people, I don't think anybody's going to sit Sammy Watkins, but like he's still the number 1 receiver for Patrick Mahomes. Like
or Kelsey is, but yeah.
Okay, fair.
Right.
But
wide receiver though, it's Watkins.
Yes.
I think it's a crapshoot for those 2 guys, for Hardman and Robinson. Like I just think they're both going deep, and Mahomes is going to throw some deep. It's a matter of which one.
I don't remember Robinson being like a deep ball guy before. And, he was uncovered on his first touchdown. The second touchdown, he was being interfered with, and Mahomes just put it perfect, and he held on to it. So I like Hardman a little more, but I think you're right. It's a roll of the dice.
I think they're both going deep. I think Watkins and Kelsey are doing the actual, like, route running. I think those guys are going long, and Mahomes is going to throw it long a few times a game. And I still think it's a bit of a dart throw because I think either one could easily get shut out.
Right.
But either one, I mean, there's 4 and 5 TDs to go around every week on the Chiefs.
Seems like it.
And I don't necessarily think they're running. I don't think they're going to run much.
So that's a good way to move to the backs.
Right.
They could not run.
Right.
And I don't think they really cared about it.
That's the key.
Yeah.
They did not care about it. They gave up on it quick.
Like I think when the receivers were tired, they called a running play and just said,
and they were like, well, we can't throw deep every time.
right. And they're like, just whatever, gain a yard.
Mahomes is back there laughing, just like giggling. And looking at it too, and granted, the Ravens have not played a great schedule. They've given up 6.5 points to running backs, average the first 2 weeks. Running backs are hurt. I feel like Kansas City goes out there, they throw a couple token first down handoffs.
So, well, here's
and
the
it's going to be
question
chuck
then.
and duck again.
If, let's say both McCoy and Williams are out, is Darwin Thompson startable this week? If he's the only game in town, I think he is.
Yeah.
He's startable.
If one of them's out.
If I had a pretty deep team without injuries yet, I wouldn't go out of my way to start him. Definitely pick him up because if he were to start and if he were to have a good game, maybe that's all he needs to take the job, and then you've got a good running back and a great offense.
Yeah,
But
he's tough to figure out. Like we won't know.
We know nothing
Sunday
about
morning. But you had to use the waiver claim on him already, which someone did probably in most leagues, and it could have just been a totally wasted
But
claim.
I could see him throwing it another 50 times. And
yeah, why not?
5, 6 TDs.
Why not?
Who knows with that team?
Who knows? All right, let's go to the Bills running back situation where Devin Singletary, despite producing both weeks, looking great, is still second. I mean, let's call it what it is. He's second fiddle to Frank Gore, at least running the ball. And then he injures his hamstring. Non-contact, comes out. He didn't practice Wednesday. I would be surprised if he played this week. Obviously, we won't know for sure. But either way, they're playing the worst run defense in the NFL, a team that just gave up 250-some rushing yards to the 49ers. Frank Gore, to me, even if Singletary's active, should be in fantasy lineups. He was owned in 7% of Yahoo leagues, despite getting way more carries in week 1, too. People just are not interested.
He was out-snapped pretty hard in week 1.
He was.
Then last week, everything flipped, and he was like the guy. Bengals have given up an average of 35.5 points to running backs in 2 weeks.
Yeah, because Carson scored twice against him, once on the ground, once through the air. And then obviously the 49ers
I love Gore
went
this
to
week.
town on him.
This is what Frank Gore does. And
It kind of is.
He does all the little things coaches want, and he doesn't exactly get stuffed. He still gets his 4 yards every down. And
Plods.
He plods, and if Singletary's out, then...
I mean, they have they're not going to play TJ Yeldon. Like, it would be
but if Singletary's out, Yeldon will play some, right?
I mean, sure, but not to the point where you're concerned at all about it.
Gore was in on some passing stuff last week. He had a couple targets.
Certainly, I mean, Singletary's presence does matter. Gore probably is a start regardless, but I mean, he's like pretty much an automatic start, I think, if Singletary's out.
Yeah,
I mean, he should see 20 or 25
I
carries.
actually hope Singletary's out because we know hamstring injuries, they linger.
Tricky.
Give him the week off.
Classic tricky. Yeah, so that's just where it is with the Bills. I do think Singletary takes over at some point, but honestly, maybe not. Like if Gore stays healthy and he's kind of getting his 12 carries for 53 yards every game.
And if they keep winning
the
to
Bills,
a degree,
yeah,
like
exactly.
if they're a wild card team, which I think they're going to be in the hunt for a wild card.
Maybe the Bills are just okay with that.
Yeah, I think they are.
It's an interesting spot. All right, another big injury situation. Eagles receivers. Lost Alshon Jeffrey, lost Deshaun Jackson. We'll throw Dallas Goedert in there too. He's just another body they can put out there. I think all three are pretty much guaranteed to be out this week for sure against the Lions. Nelson Aguilar is the one who really picked up the slack last week. In that game, they also had Chris Collinsworth was hitting this name hard, so I'm going to hit it hard. JJ Arcega-Whiteside. Juice. And then obviously we had Mac Hollins as well, played a ton of snaps.
Call him Bug.
Yeah, that's what you call him.
Call him Bug.
So going into this week, the Lions, who, kind of shut down Phillip Rivers last week, I guess, but I still don't think they're a very good pass defense. This feels like a game, but Carson Wentz might be dinged up too. So what do you make of the Eagles? I mean, everyone's sort of pushing in on Aguilar now, but, is it Arcega-Whiteside or is it Hollins who might really be the sleeper here that can sneak up on people?
I mean, to me, I think Aguilar is the only, if you have him, you're, most likely starting him.
Mm-hmm. I was going to use a number one waiver claim on him, and he was already owned in our league, much to my shock.
That's some good foresight.
Especially in a PPR league. I mean, he's going to get targets. Yes. Him and Ertz are going to get
Ertz will get a ton. I actually think they'll involve the backs a little more, too. And we talked about this earlier. Everyone minds is Sproles then, right? He doesn't really do that.
Yeah.
If you look at the stats the last 2 years, Miles Sanders saw an uptick in targets last week. He got up to 4. I actually think this could be his big breakout game because he's done nothing.
I need it.
2.7 yards a carry.
He looks good with his 2.7 yards a carry. If that's
looks
possible,
good doing it.
Yep. He needs to break out. I like Aguilar, especially PPR. Yeah. He's going to get a lot of targets. Deeper leagues, I don't know if I really have the guts to play him.
Play Juice?
No, I like Hollins a little bit. He's 6'4". I like him to score. I like him as a red zone target. I like him as a deep threat type guy. Liked him at North Carolina.
Oh, come on.
He was really good in college.
You watched a lot of Tar Heel games?
I saw him make some big plays.
Okay. Highlights or live? I know
live.
You got 3 TVs going.
Live.
Okay.
No, this guy's a good... He's just a big dude, and I think he could be big in the red zone. I think he'd be big with a deep pass.
Don't you feel they just throw to Ertz in the red zone?
I'm telling you, they can throw a fade to this guy.
Well, I know they can. Carson Wentz will chuck it, too.
They can throw a fade to him.
Hollins and Arcega-Whiteside just feel like sort of the same player, which kind of makes it almost hard to predict because I think if they're throwing to Hollins in the red zone, I mean, obviously they're not throwing to Arcega-Whiteside, but they're both good at that. Right. They were both good at that in college. They both can go down the field. I mean, maybe you just have to read into the fact that Hollins got 8 targets and 5 catches last week, and Arcega-Whiteside got 1 catch on 4 targets. Maybe that's enough to say Hollins is the guy. I think they're both.
I don't think he's necessarily the guy, but let me put it this way: these two guys, I think they could be sneaky DFS plays.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
For sure, they're GPP plays, and I'll say this: one of the two is going to be a top 5 waiver pickup next week.
Yeah.
Just not sure who.
After they bring it?
Yep. It's kind of like Kansas City all over again. Now, both those guys managed to score, so they were both on the radar. But it was okay, one of these guys, but it's tough to predict who, even looking at snap counts and targets. Because, 2 weeks ago, Hardman had 1 target, but he played way more snaps, or he played a lot of snaps.
Right.
And then... Yeah, so it's always tough to predict.
Juice has definitely got the higher long-term upside, but
and his name's just more fun to say because A is a Juice and B's got the
Bug's cool.
Yeah, I guess
Bug got a TD this week.
Well, yeah, no, when you were watching him in college all the time, like you were studying that game.
I put my work in, guys.
Yeah. So
but I'm not watching Big 12. I'm watching
last
ACC.
guy we'll talk about Daniel Jones, new Giants starting quarterback. Billy wrote a thing this week basically saying he's going to be this year's Josh Allen, or at least could be this year's Josh Allen. Obviously, he's getting the call pretty early here in the season. Do you think there's anything there?
No.
Wow.
I think no.
Flat.
No. I mean, there's just a lot of other quarterbacks to play. I think it's great news for the rest of the Giants offense, especially when, if Shepard can come back, when Tate's not suspended.
We were talking about this. When they're healthy and Tate's not suspended, kind of a sneaky, decent. I mean, Ingram, Tate, Shepard.
Yeah, they should be able to move the ball if they have a competent quarterback.
Which, the line, I think, is questionable.
Which Eli's not.
But it's tough to know what to make of that line because they were trying to defend or trying to block for Eli Manning, a statue, with not great wide receivers to get open.
Doesn't get rid of the ball.
Right.
At all. So I don't necessarily think, I don't know what kind of league you'd have to be in. I guess 2-quarterback league or super flex, to give Jones a shot. I'd probably want to wait until week 5 when Tate and Shepard are both most likely
prediction.
back.
He will be starting in single QB leagues he'll be in someone's lineup by week 7.
No, I don't know about that.
Because of bye weeks.
I don't think so.
I'm not saying a regular start. I'm just saying it might be a bye week fill-in, but he will be.
I'd have
to look at matchups.
A friend messaged me yesterday and was like, who do you think will score more points rest of season from here on out? Daniel Jones or Josh Allen? And I was like, it's not close. Josh Allen.
Could be close.
I think it's
someone bet him a dinner on that.
A dinner?
Well, maybe it was like
good dinner
appetizer
or
or dinner. It might not have been a full dinner, but like
Arby's.
still.
I like Arby's.
But is anyone thinking that? Like, is anyone thinking Daniel Jones could score that many points?
Well, I mean,
I think people are.
I think what'll be interesting to see, and this is sort of what we saw with Allen last year, and since I literally compared the two yesterday, I'll do it now. Like, it took Allen until about week 10 or 11. Obviously, there was some injury stuff going on and getting the job, but it took Allen until about week 10 or 11 before he sort of started to play this like ugly, I'm going to run a lot like game that got him a lot of fantasy points. And I'm interested to see, they'll probably sort of try to ease Jones in. And at some point it's going to be like, well, you're our rookie quarterback. Like, we're going nowhere. Like, they'll let him loose. And I don't think that equals this year's Josh Allen, but it could equal last year's down the stretch Josh Allen.
I'm saying he's got way better receivers than Allen had.
Yeah, for sure.
Allen's receivers last year were garbage.
Yeah. Right. And a better running back.
Yeah, who does a lot with a little, just dump off passes.
Okay, so I think it's easy to say we would take Jones over Rudolph.
Yes.
But let's just assume Bridgewater.
And Taysom Hill / Teddy Bridgewater.
Let's just say Bridgewater, let's say Breeze was just out and it's not a 6-week thing. You take Jones over Bridgewater too?
Yeah. I mean, I would take Rudolph over Bridgewater.
It's more fun. The thing, though, is like he might, his preseason was awesome. He could just go in there and like throw 3 picks. Like, there's a reason everyone thought he wasn't ready and shouldn't have been drafted that high.
I don't think the Giants, I like those pieces, but I don't think that the Giants offense is going to turn into like a high-flying offense.
Well, this week, it could be Evan Ingram, Betty Fowler. I mean, maybe even Cody Latimer might not even play this week. So but he's playing, it's a weird matchup too, because the Bucs, I still think are a bad defense, but have been really good for 2 games.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I just don't think the Giants' offense is ever going to be just high flying run. Like,
why not? Saquon.
I mean, maybe garbage time will be a little better because Eli's just
Saquon though. Man.
Yeah, I mean,
that guy's an equalizer.
Jones definitely isn't like a short term guy, but he's definitely more interesting on a number of levels than Eli Manning.
Week 7, Daniel Jones will be in someone's single QB
does he ever become Danny Jones?
Starting lineup. I don't know if he ever becomes. Danny Jones.
I feel like when you go to Duke, you got to go by the sort of full name.
Okay. I'm just saying, and you know what? If no one has started him by then, I'll do it just to say I'm right.
Call him Danny.
Let's see who they're playing in week 7 just for fun.
Oh, you'll start him.
I said by week 7. Could be next week. I don't know. There's a lot of options. It's very exciting.
Didn't you say they play the Dolphins at some point?
They have to. Yeah, they're playing the East this year.
Oh, that's week 15. That's a lot. Fantasy playoffs.
Daniel Jones.
Well, I'm sure, Billy, you're not worried about that, though, right?
Yeah, no, he's already he's planning for next year. He's trading picks.
I'm tanking.
Trading players for picks. All right, let's get to the good matchups, bad matchups. By the way, thanks to our friends at Ask.com.
Hey, should I start these guys that you tell me are good matchups? I
don't know. Should you? You tell me what you should do. Me? I'm not going to tell you. You can tell me after I give you some information.
Okay.
Because that's what we're here to do, to help you out. And we're going to start with quarterback. A lot of guys this week, I think, on the good matchup, or what we think are favorable matchups. Look, it's week 3. We still don't know for sure. We've mentioned how bad teams can inflate your stats. There's also been some weird things happening. So we'll run through these guys. Jameis Winston playing the Giants. Matthew Stafford playing the Eagles. Kirk Cousins, he's been a turd. He's playing the Raiders at home. Jimmy Garoppolo, who looked like a turd in week 1, looked really good last week, playing at home against the Steelers. We're going to throw Cam Newton, maybe Cam / Kyle Allen in here because we don't know who's going to be starting, but playing Arizona. So for those good, you look at Winston. He didn't have a turnover last Thursday, so everyone treated it like it's some big deal. He had 1 touchdown, 208 yards. I mean, the Giants are bad.
Yeah.
Would you start Jameis Winston?
Yeah, out of all these guys you mentioned, I'd say I like Winston and Cousins the most.
Wow. See, I'm all in on Stafford this week.
Really? Against the Eagles?
They're allowing 350 passing yards and 3 passing touchdowns
on the road, though. Matt Stafford on the road.
I don't like that. Well, revenge game, right? Against a defensive coordinator who knows him inside and out. But the Eagles have been terrible in pass defense this year against Case Keenum and Matt Ryan, who was trying to throw interceptions, it felt like, last Sunday night. But you're right. Maybe they are better, and it's just been 2 weird games. The Matt Stafford on the road, I don't like. But yeah. So you do like Winston, though.
Yeah, for sure. Anyone against Giants.
He sucks.
And any position, anything against Giants, I'm in.
He sucks.
Winston feels like the kind of guy, though, that like if the defense can't turn him over like, he's explosive. He does down the field. Like, if they're just not pressuring him and picking passes off, like,
if they can't
something will turn into something good.
Who says they can't run the ball? The Giants suck. You said play everyone. Why couldn't they run the ball?
But, like, they can't. I mean,
now they can't.
They can't. Peyton Barber, come on.
Mike Evans does feel due for a big game.
Yeah, that's just it. And Godwin, I wasn't high on him in the preseason, but he's looked really good for sure. That connection seems legit.
And OJ Howard just, like, doesn't play anymore. Apparently.
Well, and Aaron's is saying we got to get the ball to Howard more. We'll see if they make him. But I don't see that worries me. A guy like Winston, if you say, hey, let's try to make an effort to throw to someone, then I feel he's going to force it. You're going to get picks.
He forces it anyways.
Yeah, I like him.
Maybe a pick or two is good for him, though.
Maybe it is.
Maybe
one of those
some
guys.
of Matt Stafford's best games are after he throws an early pick six. And he's got to chuck it all game.
No, I think Winston, DFS, tournament, sure. I still don't really trust that guy, but I do like the matchup.
But look, I mean, we've got Roethlisberger's off the board.
Drew Brees.
Brees is off the board. And Trevor Simeon's off the board.
and Cam probably's out this week.
Cam could be off the board. I mean,
if he plays, though, you trust him at all?
Cam Newton?
Great matchup. Arizona stinks.
I'm on Cam.
Okay. Just can't trust him until you think he's healthy.
Yeah.
He's got a lot to prove, though. Extra rest.
He just doesn't want to run.
We talked about how many quarterbacks that were startable this year, but they're starting to. List is getting a little thinner.
I wish I drafted Patrick Mahomes. All right. Kirk Cousins. What's up with this guy, huh? I just like throwing stuff out like that. What's up with Kirk Cousins, guys?
I thought he used to be good, but
Dalvin Cook's awesome, apparently, and they are committed to him. And, they obviously threw more last week, but then Cousins made mistakes.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that sort of his thing, though? He's another one of those guys. Yeah.
I can see this going two ways. I could see them running the ball a ton, obviously, and him not really throwing. Or I could see this being a Kirk Cousins, get right game at home.
Like, you like that game?
Like a home game against not a good defense in Oakland. Like, hey, let's get Kirk right. Let's get Thielen his TD. Let's get him his 100 yards. Let's get Diggs his TD. I mean, Cook's going to get his. I could see it going either way.
Yeah. So that doesn't help anyone.
No.
So the question is, as far as starting him, again, we sometimes like to do this with these 5 guys. We'll throw out Cam, 4 guys, Winston, Stafford, Cousins, Jimmy G. I put Cousins 4 on that list. I actually do put Winston ahead of him, even though I don't trust Winston. I just think the Vikings offense, it is fundamentally different, and Cook has been fantastic. Why would they go away from that?
Sure.
I don't think they'll need to.
I put Cousins 3. I still put Stafford 4th out of these guys.
That's stupid. You're wrong.
Let's write it down and let's see
You're
where
just
we're
flat
at.
out wrong about
Monday.
that.
Let's see where we're at Monday.
Well, look. Would you start Stafford or Matt Ryan? Matt Ryan on the road at Indy.
Ryan.
Okay.
It's on the road, but not really. It's still a dome.
It's not a dome. Yeah, it is. Sorry, I was thinking Tennessee. Sorry. Yeah,
Do you even pay
Indy.
attention to fantasy football?
I sometimes do. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but not real football.
But he started as the same thing in Minnesota in week 1, and he wasn't good.
Yeah, Minnesota's a tough D.
Yeah, good
Indy's
point.
not.
Yeah.
Well, especially if Darius Leonard's out.
You asked me who I'd start. I'd start Ryan over Stafford. If you want to board bet it, I'll take Ryan.
He just wants to get the decision right in our league.
I'll take Ryan and Cousins.
I think you're underselling Stafford. That's all. And Jimmy G.
And I think you're
Pittsburgh.
a Lions fan who's apologizing for him.
And I don't want to. I don't want to start him. That has nothing to do with it.
He just picked him up to play over Matt Ryan this week and next
week. Playing matchups, bro.
Trade me Ryan.
Maybe. Jimmy G, do you like him at all against Pittsburgh?
Yeah, more than Stafford.
Yeah, well,
they
we know that.
they did just score 41 points last week.
They did. And he threw 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's getting Deebo Samuel involved.
Short passing game.
Yeah. Pittsburgh's a weird defense. They haven't looked good at all, but they played the Pats, and they played the Seahawks, who are weird because they didn't look good against Cincinnati, so that kind of makes Pittsburgh look worse. But I still don't think they're bad. I think they have talented players. Obviously, trading for Minkah Fitzpatrick should only help. I don't know how much. So I'm not convinced they're bad yet. But they haven't looked
Stafford
good.
1 out of this list?
Mm-hmm.
Winston
easily won.
What do you think, Billy?
Easily won.
I'd probably go some combination of Winston, Jimmy G, and I think I would start Cousins over Stafford too.
Jimmy smokes, guys. Jimmy smokes, number 1.
You guys are crazy.
I can't wait. What did we do wrong last week? I stood up for Matt Stafford on the road at
I'm
Philly.
going to be like, you guys were wrong because you didn't trust.
Odds that Matt starts Matt Stafford and is somehow 3-0 in our fantasy league are very low.
2-1.
No, I'm going to start Stafford. Well, I'm playing.
Start him by all means.
I'm going to start him. All right, bad matchups. Baker Mayfield versus the Rams, Aaron Rodgers versus the Broncos, Kyler Murray versus the Panthers, which maybe isn't bad. Statistically, it doesn't look great, but I don't know if the Panthers are actually good. They don't feel like they're very good, but statistically, they've held down Jared Goff and in your effing favorite, Jameis Winston, all-pro quarterback.
We've got to push back on that. The Bucs didn't try to throw. Winston was totally comfortable.
Yeah, why not? Because he sucks.
Yeah, it might have been the right decision.
I just heard for 2 hours how great of a quarterback he is and how he's going to go to Canton.
Somebody's listening to this.
So way better than Matthew Stafford. Yes, Jimmy. Yeah, we get it. Jimmy smokes. Now I'm fired up. Now I'm pissed.
They didn't cause Winston any problems, though. I don't think Murray's going to have any problems.
He should have had a bigger game, too, but his receivers had some bad drops.
Yeah,
Winston. I think Murray's fine. This seems like a good spot for him. He's throwing high volume, a lot of yards. He's not running yet. There's always that in his back pocket if he ever decides to pull that out, and he could put up big numbers. Rodgers, look, we said 250 and 2. Rodgers down to like 202 now.
If that's what you want. If you want a guy with upside of 250
I don't really want it.
TDs.
I don't. This is like the Dustin Pedroia 10-10 upside.
Two games, 203 yards, 209 yards, 1 TD, 2 TDs. So he's averaging 207 yards and a TD.
I mean, I don't like him.
I don't love him either.
I don't like him. Did you start him or Stafford?
You gotta start Rodgers, I guess.
Why?
Yeah.
Him or Winston?
Winston.
Okay.
Winston, and I'm not joking about that. Winston versus the Giants. Oh, first of all, you've got a good matchup for Winston and a bad matchup for Rodgers.
Yes, good matchup for Stafford, bad matchup for Rodgers.
Yeah. I'm starting Winston, Rodgers, then Stafford.
Matt Stafford, last week he didn't play well at 245 and 2, which is better than what Rodgers does.
If the rest of your team is stacked and you can deal with 200 yards and 1.5 TDs, then Rodgers is your guy.
Rodgers is your guy. All right, yeah, I don't like him. I think he's out of the starting tier this week. I get why people want to play him because he always seems to have that upside, but we're going on a solid year and a half.
I'd roll the dice with Mayfield over him.
So Mayfield. Just because bad matchup statistically, but
like shit could happen in that game, right? Like it could be a shootout.
It could be. It's going to be a weird game. I do worry about that offensive line and Aaron Donald really causing him problems. But we saw it on Monday night when I don't think he played particularly well. Boom, you just hit a 90-yard touchdown. He has the type of players who can help him do that.
He's short, though. He could.
I don't like that.
He could tear his thumb ligaments on
Absolutely.
Aaron Donald
He's
again.
much more likely.
Yeah.
I always thought it was the taller guys because they're kind of coming down in the follow-through, but now I've seen the error of my thought.
If Breeze's follow-through had been higher up, he would have been okay.
Yeah, he really would have been. Just 2 inches taller. That's it.
I think it would have had to be
That's why I don't trust Murray
Actually,
either.
it might have been a wingspan thing, though.
It might have
Nobody ever talks about quarterbacks and their wingspan, but maybe we should.
I mean, hand size is more important. We all know that. Who was that quarterback they kept talking about his hand size and could he grip the ball? Remember that? It was a couple years ago going into the
That
draft.
he had small hands? Or
that was a big thing going into the draft a couple years ago. And I forget.
Remember.
I don't know. Billy's looking it up. While he does that, we'll get
QBs with small hands. Good.
Yeah.
Are you doing that
That's
on
its own
ask.com?
little. Yeah,
You're doing that on ask.com.
Do that on
right?
Ask. Actually, you might want to go DuckDuckGo, our week 1 sponsor, because they're a lot more private. And
But
that's
don't you have to
a weird
VPN
search.
into Europe for that?
No. That's Quant.
Oh.
Yeah, that was last week's. It's just that's a weird that you get some weird fetish results on QBs with small hands. You don't want that on a work computer. All right, running back. We got a bunch of good matchups here, and a lot of these are committee situations, so we're going to sort of speak about them in that regard. We already talked about the Bills versus the Bengals, so we don't need to get into that again. The Falcons guys against Indy. Indy third most fantasy points to running backs. Falcons backs, especially Devonta Freeman, have looked terrible. The Texans guys, they're playing out in L.A., playing the Chargers. The Eagles backs playing the Lions, and Bucks backs playing the Giants. What do you got for small hands, by the way, Billy?
Yeah, he's giggling over there.
Breezes aren't actually that small relatively. Kyler's are like an inch smaller.
Mm-hmm. There was someone, though, where it was like
Jared
a
Goff
big
has
deal.
really small hands.
Oh, that's why he's been playing bad.
Yeah, it must be. And he doesn't believe in dinosaurs or whatever it is.
But Mahomes are only 9 1/4, which is only a quarter inch more than Goff. So
that's enough, though.
I've got
Make a
slot
difference.
receiver hands.
Yeah, me too. I have center hands. All right, Falcons backs at Indy in a dome, which you guys weren't even sure about earlier.
that is
I don't
the way
know
to
why.
spin it.
Why
would you ever think
I
that
literally
Indy-
said Indy out loud, and in my head I was picturing Tennessee, and it just got the wires got
always played
crossed.
a dome because if Peyton Manning played outside,
I think it's because they played last
if
week.
Manning played outside, he'd never have the career he had.
That's
Clutch
true.
Peyton
That
Manning.
noodle arm.
So Devonta Freeman has looked awful.
Yeah, I think it's time to pick up Ito.
Well, this
Ramarius.
is the thing. He hasn't. Yeah, Ramarius Smith. He hasn't looked. He's looked better than Devonta Freeman, but they haven't given him a ton of touches. And he was bad last year. Ito was
He looks
averaging yards,
explosive, though.
but he does. He looks it.
Especially on turf.
He's got a good name.
Yep.
Yeah.
It feels like it. But I'm not sure he's that good either. The question is, in this matchup that Austin Eckler tore up, and Justin Jackson for that matter, tore him up in week 1, and then we saw Derrick Henry kind of run all over him in week 2. feels like someone should do well.
I'm a Freeman guy, but he's looking a little gassed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
might be time to get the busboy over his table.
Yeah, I don't like.
He's at least checking.
I don't like playing.
You know that?
A little passive aggressive.
You know that?
You need a refill, or you're good.
Yeah, I don't like playing Freeman this week, and if he looks bad, I think you can be pretty out on him.
But you got to play him, right? He's a flex, isn't he?
I mean, I guess he's a flex, but like if I had him on my team, I'd be looking to try to find somebody else to play that flex spot.
Maybe like Bug Hollins.
Yeah, Bug Hollins.
I want to say the name.
J.J. Arcega-Whiteside.
And then Ito, you can't start yet. He's just not getting enough touches.
No, definitely grab him post waivers this week.
I could definitely see him scoring a touchdown this week, but you can't.
If you got a free roster spot and you're looking for some RB help, I think
definitely a good watch list candidate.
Yeah, he's definitely that. So the Texans guys, Carlos Hyde, 20 carries. Really, and he looks good. He's looked good doing it 2 weeks in a row. Duke Johnson didn't even have a catch last week, but he's still there and playing the snaps. But this is another team. The Chargers got absolutely torched in week 1 by Marlon Mack. Did a good job against the Lions for the most part, but Kerryon Johnson did get the touchdown on the catch. I mean, Hyde. Like, okay, let's throw this out. Hyde or Devonta Freeman, who would you rather play?
Hyde in a heartbeat.
Wow. This guy that we had just left for dead
in 2 games,
weeks ago.
He's got 30 carries for 173 yards. Yeah. And he actually just looks like a good running back.
But don't you in your head think Devonta Freeman's better than Carlos Hyde?
I did.
You want to think
but
that.
I don't anymore.
Okay, new information. You got to react to it.
Hyde just hits the whole...
cut.
I've always liked
cut and
Hyde.
go.
I've always liked Hyde.
Now, come on.
No, he was on my Dynasty League team for like 3 years. Like
I swear,
2
we
years
could
too
dig
long,
up a 3 week podcast from 3 weeks ago just shitting on Carlos Hyde.
I mean, this year we shit on Carlos Hyde.
Yes.
I'm saying in his career, I've always been like, why doesn't this guy get a little more? He was always getting hurt or whatever. He's getting opportunity now, and he's doing pretty well with it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's definitely Duke Johnson. I'd probably still flex him in PPR, but he, no catches last week.
He's not doing much. I went against him last week in a PPR and nothing.
Yeah, it was a weird game. Last week was a weird game for that offense. I felt like everyone was just stuck in neutral.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah. So the Eagles backs, kind of talked about them already a little bit. Detroit is getting torched by receiving backs. That would seemingly be good for Darren Sproles, but they don't really use him in that role. He doesn't have that many catches, but do they change it this week? Or does Miles Sanders, who did get that slight uptick in targets last week, does he just have that breakout? Running a little bit and receiving a little bit, kind of that 100 total yard game, gets in the end zone finally.
It feels like Sanders should probably have a good game.
Because it's pretty clear by snap counts, by carries.
Yeah.
He's the main
they
Jordan Howard is an afterthought.
Right. They want Sanders to sort of break out and be the guy, and he hasn't done it yet. But like, if he's going to do it, the Lions seem like as good a matchup as any.
Well, and if they throw the ball less.
They're going to want to keep Matthew Stafford off the field, too, because he's going to be carving them up.
Don't think they'll worry about that too much.
There's so much stakes on that game now. I'm so nervous already. It's like the team I cheer for, my fantasy quarterback, the pride of being right about this after quadrupling down. So yeah, I say start Sanders. No one else. I wouldn't start Sproles in PPR. I think that's fool's gold. He could. They could just have a throwback Sproles game, but I'm not buying it. Bucks backs. We've gone both ways on this one already, Eric. So what's your flip-flop for a third time?
I honestly don't know what to make of it. How about I just say that? I don't. I mean, Jones looked like he had some life week 1.
Yes.
He did not do anything week 2.
Yes.
But I think we all know what Barber is.
Oh, we do.
I think we know what he is.
We know what Peyton Barber is.
It's a great matchup, but I don't think after those 2 weeks of playing time and carries.
So this will be the Dare game.
Yeah.
This will be the
we honestly don't know. I picked up Jones because someone in our league dropped him. I don't know why you would do that.
Yeah, that was me.
It's too early.
But I mean, I have no intention of playing him.
Right. Well, you have Frank Gore, so you don't need Ronald Jones.
If Frank Gore's my 4th running back right now. I'm trying to find a spot to get him in.
Such a good team.
I do. 2-0.
Man, you're good.
Did you guys hear I'm 2-0?
I heard. First place in points, too. You could do the sweep.
Do you want to do a payout right now?
Yeah. You should. You already Venmoed me your money, but you should have
I don't know why I bothered. I don't know why I bothered.
Good thing there are no transaction fees. What do you think, Billy, about the Bucks backs this week?
I mean, I think if you're going to play one, I mean, it has to be Barber. He just got 23 carries.
Right.
But
we're going to flip-flop every week.
It is a good matchup. Like, I think if you considered starting Barber last week, however your team's built, I mean, you're going to start him this week.
Mm-hmm.
But but there's still
Yeah, I think Barber's a flex.
there's still some mystery there.
That's
I
all
could see
you can
it
do.
swinging right back, though.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Or at least evening out.
It's a mess.
At least evening out.
Right.
All right, the bad matchups this week. The Chiefs backs against Baltimore. The Steelers backs at San Francisco, which might be surprising. Do we actually think they're a good run defense? They weren't great in week one. That's when Ronald Jones ran on them, but they totally shut down the Bengals, which I think is going to be a common theme this year, though. So I'm not sure that's a good matchup, but because James Conner's dealing with an injury and has looked awful, and they have a backup quarterback in, it's tough to sit James Conner. You drafted him probably in the first round, but I don't know. I think maybe you should.
There is some pedigree on that defensive line. Like it sort of has to come together, but like you can look at some of those names and you're like, oh, that guy was a high draft pick. That guy was a high draft pick. Like maybe they actually are a decent run defense.
I mean, we know they have a pass rush,
right?
And they've had some weird games where they've gotten pick sixes and had some big plays, and they've gotten out to leads, which I think has helped depress rushing stats too for other teams.
Game script.
Total game script situation, game flow even, if you will. So the question is, can you sit James Conner? You can't, right?
It's tough. You got to have a pretty strong team.
Like you.
Like me.
Would you start Frank Gore over James Conner?
I was going to ask you the same question. I think with Singletary out, I think 100%.
God, that feels...
I think you start Gore over Singletary over...
This is like what you were saying when you were
Conner.
like, yeah, you got to start Rodgers. Like, it feels like you can't do that, but you probably should.
I think
100%.
I think you should start Gore over James Conner. Now, do you have three guys like that on your team? Probably not. You can
Start
probably...
Peyton Barber or James Conner?
Conner.
Okay. Similar situation, though. Similar
Conner's
backs,
more
similar
talented.
matchups.
He's just more talented.
But I meant Gore and Barber. They're similar backs.
I think we're
Come on now.
especially
Frank Gore's the fourth all-time leading rusher.
I'm talking about 36-year-old Frank Gore.
but-
I'm not counting 24-year-old Frank Gore's numbers in this.
Well, he's four. I don't know if you've heard.
No, I just heard it because you just said it.
He's the fourth.
I mean, and if Singletary's out, you're way more sure of Gore's touches than you are of Barber's.
Right. No, I agree.
I think I agree with Eric that Gore over Conner is like kind of logical this week.
Can you believe we're having this debate in week 3? And especially San
2019.
Francisco. You would have looked and said, oh, San Francisco is going to be one of his best matchups.
It's also first game of Mason Rudolph as the starter. You don't really know. They could
go
just,
either way.
Right.
No, I think Connor's still in lineups at least as a flex, but you're not feeling great about it.
Frank Gore never
he's looked
dies.
bad. He doesn't. He's looked bad.
Well, he hasn't died yet.
And the last one, we'll just throw this one. I mean, this should be a no-brainer. Redskins backs against the Bears. Peterson got in the end zone to salvage his day last week. I think you can start Thompson, though, in a PPR just because it feels like a game where they should be throwing a lot of checkdowns.
All checkdowns. Yeah, Trey Quinn and Chris Thompson, man.
Oh, all day, every day. And the Bears actually haven't been great against tight ends either, so it's actually whoever plays at tight ends interesting, but
VD?
still. Yeah, if it's the old catch some VD again, maybe. But but
I'm a
Adrian
hard pass
Peterson-
on the Redskins backs against Chicago.
Yeah, push them out. And we already talked about the Chiefs. Let's get to wide receivers. A bunch of weird ones here. The Bears, which is really just Allen Robinson, let's face it. You can't start any other. I mean, Taylor Gabriel's popping up a little bit for PPR, but...
Yeah, but I grabbed the quick target count because, I researched pretty well for the podcast.
You're really helpful.
Wide receiver targets for the Bears, 2 games. Robinson's got 20. Next highest wide receiver, 7.
Yeah. Now, Anthony Miller has been injured. He's played. So I don't know if he's just kind of out of the rotation or they're ramping him up or if he's nothing or if it doesn't matter because Mitch Trubisky looks terrible. That'll be something to watch. So that's really Allen Robinson. Then we have the Lions guys. I think Golladay is an automatic start. The question more comes down to Amendola, 13 targets. Did he have one last week?
Did one last week.
And then Marvin Jones had an uptick. We know Matthew Stafford's throwing 3 touchdowns in that game. The question is, to who?
Probably Hawkinson.
Yeah, big TJ game.
Well,
Jesse
again,
James.
Him and Amendola, right? Old Juice and Amendola.
Danny playoffs Amendola.
That's right. Went from ton of targets, great production in week 1 to nothing in week 3 or 2. So the question is, who shows up in week 3? And these are the toughest, I think, for fantasy owners this early in the year. We like when something's gone the same way twice in a row, either good or bad, and we feel like we know, even though we don't. But when it's 1-1, how do you approach it?
I'd find some other people to start over those other lines.
Like Amendola, Jones.
Yeah.
So just Golladay then.
Yeah. Oh, Golladay for sure.
Yeah. And okay. Yeah, I feel like I do, all joking aside with the quadrupling down on Stafford, I do think he's going to be pretty good. I think there will be at least 250 to 300 yards passing here and 2 passing touchdowns. So
I mean, everyone throws for 250 yards these days except for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not really saying much.
And against the Eagles this year, everyone's thrown for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. So I know it's only 2. two guys, but one of them was Case Keenum, so I think it's relevant.
Those corners there, although they have some names, they've been getting burned in Philly.
They're rough.
So I do think that might bode well for Marvin Jones. There hasn't really been a slot guy.
DFS, GPP, but not in a regular. If we were in the bye weeks, he's probably a wide receiver 3, but right now.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit outside.
Too much. All right, let's go to the 49ers receivers, which is basically Deebo Samuel.
Yep.
I don't think you can even consider anyone else.
Goodwin caught a long touchdown last week.
He did. You can consider
He's
him.
always a crapshoot.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So Pittsburgh has been terrible. Now they get Fitzpatrick, who knows how up to speed he is, how many snaps he'll play. But they've been terrible, but they've played two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
In history.
I mean, well, the best in history, and then Tom Brady. So it's pretty clear that they've faced great quarterbacks. So again, are they a bad defense? Has it just been a weird sort of bad matchups? They've been put in bad situations because their offense has been bad, and they're going to come around.
I don't think we know.
Yeah.
Great.
Could the defense rally?
Fifth time you've said that this
Could
week.
the defense rally?
They should, right?
Can they rally behind? Hey, look, Big
We're the
Ben's out.
leaders.
We're the leaders.
Come on,
this is
TJ
This
Watt.
is Pittsburgh. This is the Steel City.
This is Iron Steel
black and
Curtain.
yellow. This is black and yellow.
Title Town.
Right.
Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Well, I should have said Jack
Let's play
because it
D.
was the defense, but you get it. So they end every practice with "Let's play D."
On 3.
On 3. Let's play D.
Let's play D.
Deebo Samuel, though, had the snaps in week 1, didn't really do much with it. Broke out in week 2. We can all agree. Led the team targets, receptions, yards, scored a touchdown, still getting all the snaps. I think you picked him up, Billy?
I did pick him
You
up.
wavered him, right?
Yep.
Are you going to start him this week?
No, but
Again, because we're not in buys yet.
right, I feel better about the guys I have.
Right.
The one that posed to you to Jarvis Landry, you've got on our bad matchup list.
Right.
Would you consider a guy like Debo over Jarvis Landry?
That's a good heads up because Landry hasn't done anything this year, and it is a tough matchup on paper. I think I would. I'm very kind of out on Landry.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, there was room for him. I'm sure he'll have some good PPR games. But,
Eventually.
they're just
I don't even know if he will, though.
They're just looking at OBJ every time.
I guess Njoku being out should help him if he is out, but
slightly,
he
right.
was out most of Monday night.
I mean, these teams, though, forget whether or not Pittsburgh's D is really good or not.
Yeah.
These teams that throw to one wide receiver, they're like fantasy gold.
Right.
And so far in San Francisco, they're throwing to one wide receiver.
And Kittle.
Yeah.
Right.
But I mean, I love playing guys like that where it's these teams that are they're all right, and they're just well, this works, so I'm just gonna throw to them every time.
Right.
But he's still a rookie, and this is kind of like my thing with McLaurin, who we have him on the bad matchups.
But
Redskins.
Debo sounds like a lot better football player than Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, what was Debo's real name? We looked it up. I forget.
I'll get it for you. But I mean, we talked up Jimmy Garoppolo as a good matchup against Pittsburgh, and if he's gonna have a good game.
I wasn't as high on him as you two, but that was just because I was yelling about Stafford, so I wasn't thinking straight at that point. You had already enraged me at that point.
So we're talking about Tyshun Samuel here.
There you go. Pretty good, too.
Goes by Debo.
Can you spell how?
Tyshun.
Tyshawn.
Pretty good. So, yeah, I think he's in play. I think he's a flex, but, really depends on your lineup. DK Metcalf had 2 pretty good games in a row. I think clearly the number 2 there. Playing New Orleans, who I think the worst team against fantasy wide receivers last year, hasn't been good to start this year. I don't know. I don't want to say auto start because you probably, he wasn't one of your top 3 drafted receivers. He's like Samuel to me. He's there. He's probably going to be started in most leagues.
Yeah, I think I would start DK over Debo too.
Mm-hmm.
DK or Jarvis Landry, I would definitely start Metcalf.
Mm-hmm.
I'd think about it longer with the other one, but the targets are going to be there. He's obviously a physical specimen,
Right, and playing with a great
How come his rookie thing doesn't? How come you're not bringing that up?
No, it does. It does apply. That's why it's that's why I said he's not an auto start.
Yeah.
I think it does. I just think he's a little more. He has a better quarterback, which I think is a big part of it. And
Short quarterback, though.
he does have a short quarterback, which I normally don't like.
Yeah, Metcalf could eat
That's how
Russell
you like
Wilson.
Stafford so much.
Yeah,
because
it's part
he's
of
so
it.
tall.
Oh, he's
a
he's
specimen.
prototype.
Prototype.
He's one of the last of the statues, man. He's a little mobile, a little bit. But yeah, Metcalf, no, you're right. I mean, it does still apply. And, this was a guy everyone thought was sort of a raw, toolsy, just project guy. And then
And
he's looked good.
And he met Russell Wilson.
That's right. He's looked good. The Cowboys, we know Amari Cooper's starting, but Michael Gallup's out. I think he would have been started in every league. So they're playing Miami. You just see that and you're like, oh, yeah, let's get them all in there. But can you start Randall Cobb? Can you start Devin Smith? That's tough to do.
Yeah, I don't think as much as the Patriots just threw on Miami, I don't think most teams will do that.
Well, here's the thing. They threw on Miami. What'd Josh Gordon do?
Right.
Nothing. What'd Julian
Edelman didn't do anything either.
Nothing. So it's like, okay, yeah, you can do anything against Miami.
Right. I see
this feels like a Zeke.
This could be a Zeke game.
Zeke Eats game.
Cooper gets his one TD.
Yeah.
Maybe they throw Witten.
Witten's going to get one.
They throw Witten a TD.
Hope
And
so.
I'm not sure there's
3 in a row.
It's a real dice roll.
Definite DFS tournament. Get Devin Smith in there. Why not? But
huge dice roll to assume that another wide receiver on Dallas is going to do a lot against a game that's going to be over at halftime.
Yeah. Probably. What are they, 24.5 is the spreads up to?
That's what I saw.
Bad.
That's stupid.
It's bad.
All right, bad. We already talked about Jarvis Landry. The Jets guys, that's bad just because it's bad. It's bad because of Luke Falk. It's bad because what is Jamison Crowder now? What is Robbie Anderson now? It looked like they switched spots. Who was the number one receiver? When it really Le'Veon Bell's the number one receiver.
Right.
And maybe Ryan Griffin, as Eric, thought he'd do well last week. So we'll see.
I mean, I thought with the Texans were going to throw to Ryan Griffin a lot.
Yeah, you didn't know what team he was on.
I really thought he was going to kill it. Yeah. So I was like, you guys, they're playing. Who do you use?
Jay.
I was like, you picked a tight end against Jacksonville?
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, he's not on there.
Yeah, that's how far out of the Ryan Griffin loop you are. Can you trust? I mean, Crowder.
You can't play any Jets receivers this week with Luke Falk at quarterback. No
but
chance.
he completed his passes. He throws short.
Okay,
He didn't look overmatched, but he didn't look good either.
If you're in a PPR
I feel that way
league,
about Minshew, by the way.
you can think about Jamison Crowder. If you're in a standard league, I mean, you can't touch any of these guys.
Yeah, I kind of agree on that too. Giants guys, we don't know for sure who's going to play. It might be Shepard and Latimer back. It might be both of them out, and Benny Fowler is the number one receiver. With Daniel Jones playing the Bucs, who have been good through 2 weeks, but I don't know about any of you. I don't think are very good. I mean, DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel were getting open, and Greg Olsen for that matter, and putting up yards against them last week. So, do you trust any Giants receivers?
I guess if Shepard plays, you can throw him a start.
Yeah.
Do him a favor.
And I think if Shepard doesn't play, Benny Fowler probably puts up okay numbers. Like if you're in a deep league and I don't know somebody.
But if we're on the fence about Samuel and Metcalf, we're definitely not going in on.
I would play both of them over.
All right,
Fowler.
Broncos guys.
So I'm interested in this one.
Okay, because 2 good ones.
Yeah.
Your boy Manny Sanders, Cortland Sutton, who had the big week 1. They feel like, these are legit. We think they're talented. With Sanders, pedigree's there, or the history's there. Sutton looks the part. Green Bay's been good, but is that? Yeah, they faced Mitchell Trubisky, and then Kirk Cousins took a dump, and he should have had 2 more touchdowns.
It's not like Flacco's good, to be fair.
That's just it. What do you make of these guys this week?
I've got a lineup decision that is in this entire wide receiver thing. I've got Allen Robinson versus Manny Sanders. I've played Robinson the first 2 weeks.
Oh, that's Robinson. That's not even close.
I don't know, man. Sanders is a big part of the offense.
So Robinson's, but you read the stat, how targeted he is.
I know.
And you said Washington's awful.
I know, but now I want to play Sanders because he's looked good and stuff. So now I want to be smart.
And stuff. You didn't have me till you added the and stuff.
Yeah, I'm sold.
I really wanted to play him and kind of diversify and play different people.
It is a question of would you rather have Joe Flacco or Mitchell Trubisky throwing to your fantasy?
It's one of those things like the beginning of baseball season. I want to get everyone a little bit of run in case I need him in October.
Fresh.
So you guys both say Robinson
I would
easy
play
over
Robinson
Manny
over
Sanders?
And Monday night too. You like that Monday night guy. Like that hammer.
Let's be honest, I probably don't even need it.
You probably don't because you have Frank Gore. So you have nothing to worry about.
Because you guys both that easy. You don't think?
Yeah. I think in general, Sanders and Sutton are both wide receiver 3s. I'd rank Sanders a little bit higher. But yeah, I'm worried about him this week. I don't feel great about it.
So what do you put? I mean, you don't think Robinson's a wide receiver 2?
A higher wide receiver 3? He's pretty close with all the targets he gets.
All right.
So I look
kind of bored me last week.
Yeah, he's boring.
Manny excited me, and I wanted to maybe tap into that a little bit.
He is titillating, Manny Sanders. He's just making big plays at the end of the game. That's what
Well, I guess let me write that down. Matt said start 100% Allen Robinson over him.
And
even though this is just for informational purposes, you guys felt pretty strong
entertainment
about
purposes. Yeah. All right, let's go to the Redskins receivers. We already talked about old Scary Terry. Can you play any of these guys against the Bears?
No.
But Manny Sanders went off on him, so why can't?
Because Manny Sanders
has
forgotten more about football
than
Terry McLaurin.
What about Paul Richardson?
And Paul Richardson.
What about Trey Quinn?
Combined.
First of all, Trey Quinn sounds like the best receiver out of the 3. Paul Richardson,
Paul Richardson's like a librarian.
He's another Tyson shipping manager?
He's
him and Terry McLaurin.
He's more of
2 of them?
I think Richardson is more of he's like the account manager, and McLaurin is McLaurin gets you what you need.
Or
they work at the same company.
He's like your 5th grade The history teacher.
Paul
he's
Mr. Richardson?
Yeah.
Mr. Dick. That's
He
what
lets,
the kids
he lets
call
me
him.
call him Paul. He lets me call him Paul.
But the kids don't like him calling him Mr. Dick.
No, Terry McLaurin can get you a discount, though, on pretty much anything you need.
No, he's a good guy to know.
Anything you need.
Yeah.
You don't want to invite him to a party, but he's good to have in the Rolodex just in case.
Well,
you
he
need a discount.
definitely helps you get supplies for the party.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Come on, a guy
Where'd you get these streamers? Terry McLaurin.
Oh, Terry McLaurin.
Terry-
Down
Down
guy.
at the,
guy.
down at the widget shop.
Yeah, it's a supplier. He knows a guy.
Down
All
at
right.
Acme party
widgets.
supplies.
Let's go to tight ends. Good. Greg Olsen at Arizona, who've been just 100 yards and a touchdown to tight ends, but each of the first two games. Greg Olsen over 100 yards. It seems too easy.
These first two they're cracking me up because you hated them so much before the season because they're both old and should be in a TV booth.
It seems too easy to say Greg Olsen, even if Kyle Allen, but I don't know how he flops, but he probably does.
In week 3, we're like, start Greg Olsen and Jason
100%.
Witten.
So Witten, Miami, it's the Miami factor. The thing with Witten, though, 7 targets this year, 5 have been in the red zone. Like, this dude, he's touchdown or bust even in favorable matchups, but it feels like he's going to get another touchdown.
Yep.
Jared Cook, we kind of talked about him. He sucked both the first 2 weeks, but he did get a lot of targets with old Teddy Two Gloves. Seattle has allowed 2 tight end touchdowns last week. Uzama had a pretty good game against them in week 1.
Teddy Two Gloves.
So that's what they call him. Are you worried about Jared Cook?
I'm worried about Jared Cook.
We're all.
I'm always worried about Jared Cook.
it is a decent matchup, and you probably drafted him as your starter, and he's probably still the only tight end you have on your team that's worth playing. But even good matchup, I don't feel good about it.
Right.
I never feel good about Jared Cook, but his 2 bad games probably helps.
Yeah.
Because he's typically not one to do the same thing.
That's true.
It does look like a
Multiple
good
weeks in a row.
matchup, but I could just see this being just a terrible.
Where
game for the Saints.
is Vance McDonald Revenge Game on this?
Yeah,
That's true.
We'll talk about him in a bit at the end. The Vance McDonald Revenge in our Revenge Game section.
Oh, do we have a section?
And then we got to throw
It's
OJ
not on the outline.
I know. And then we throw OJ Howard in there against the Giants. No targets at all last week. They're saying let's get him more involved. Giants are terrible. You got to start him, right? It's the same kind of thing with Cook, where you probably have to start him.
Even more so
But I
than
think
Cook,
I'd actually feel good about him this week, getting back in the swing of things.
If he's going to get back in it,
But we always talked about Bruce Arians' offense never
right, they
featured
don't
tight
go to the
ends.
tight end.
I don't know. He's a tough one.
It is
but
worrisome, but I don't think you're at the point where you can be
Right.
like, nah, I'm sitting at OJ Howard.
Bad matchups. David Njoku might not play because of a concussion anyway against the
I doubt he
Rams.
plays.
And then your boy Eric, Darren Waller,
Love
been
him.
very steady. Almost identical stat lines back to back. Gets catches, gets targets, gets your 60 to 70 yards. If he gets a touchdown, he's going to be great. If he doesn't, still good floor. But this week, you look at Minnesota. Shut out Jimmy Graham last week. The week before,
Not hard to do.
all right, fair enough. But he had a touchdown in week 1. And Jimmy Graham is a good matchup this week too, because Denver gives up a lot of catches and yards to tight ends. They haven't given up a touchdown yet. I actually like Jimmy Graham this week. He should have been on this list along with Vance McDonald Revenge Game. But
Yeah, our 3 tight end sleepers on the website this week were Greg Olsen, Jason Witten, and Jimmy Graham.
Graham.
How ridiculous is
throwback.
Back in 2012.
2012.
Throwback. But Waller, so they shut out Graham last week. Hooper didn't do anything really until garbage time in week 1. I think this is a really tough matchup. I'd be worried about Waller.
It is. I'm starting him in both leagues because I just went all in on him. I do think their offense is Jacobs and Waller and some Tyrell
like
Williams. With that said, if you have Waller, you may have a better tight end because he might have been a waiver guy for you. So maybe this is the time
This
to
is
sit
where it
him,
gets to the
but-
question, though. Would you stream someone to play?
I mean, I have Waller on 2 teams.
right. Like, you wouldn't stream Jason Witten.
No, I wouldn't. I mean, I'm also not going to hold and grab another tight end to do that.
Right.
I'll live or die with Waller.
Yeah. Just because his volume, he should have a good floor.
Right. The question I have on one team, I have Waller and McDonald. So
Revenge game.
So that is a little bit of a question. I'm kind of in the roll with Waller.
I
mood,
agree, because you look at San Francisco. So they had the 2 tight end touchdowns in week 1 called back because of penalty. Then they gave one up in week 3. So the stats don't look horrible against tight ends, but I actually think they are bad against tight ends. Rudolph hooked up with McDonald twice for tight end touchdowns, but they were just short.
And that also seems
That's
like,
kinda
he had 2
circumstance.
TDs last week. What are the chances he gets another one this week?
That's my DFS thing. I don't like to try to piggyback big games.
Right. I've seen a lot of I've watched pretty much all of the 2 Raider games so far.
Right. And North Carolina on Saturdays, football. Yeah.
And they throw to Waller.
But Waller is like their number 1 target.
Yeah.
Right. So, McDonald, I like. I think he's in our top 10.
Yeah.
But the touchdowns, that's kind of circumstance. They were both
All
short.
right, so give me an opinion, guys. Waller or McDonald?
I start Waller. Matt ranked McDonald higher. So
Yeah,
I
I
feel
like McDonald, even though I'm not super high on him. But
I can do the thing.
I like
where,
the matchup.
I can
better.
do the
Way
thing
better,
where I
actually.
start Waller in the league where I only own Waller, and I can
Hedge.
diversify with
Smart.
McDonald in the other one.
That way you definitely win.
you got to
and
take advantage of the
definitely
revenge
lose.
game.
That's right. All right, let's go to
Gotta get a piece of that revenge.
real quick defenses. 49ers. Seahawks facing the backup quarterbacks. Titans facing Gardner Minshew. Bucks getting a rookie quarterback. I like the first three. I don't feel great about the Bucks, even though they have been pretty good this year. But rookie quarterback making his first NFL start on the road, usually a good spot.
Sloppy field.
Oh, wait, do we know the conditions yet?
Always.
It's 4:00 start again, so we'll have time to dry.
We dried
That's
out
true.
a little
But
more.
there's hurricanes around, so
That's right, and humidity will build throughout the day, so that's
sure.
a tough one.
I actually don't feel that great about San Fran, though. I think Pittsburgh's offense will run okay.
They could.
And I think San Fran's overachieved. Maybe I'm wrong.
That's just
but
it. It's like, is the pass rush for real? Is
Like
the
we
run
thought they were
defense
really
for real?
bad as a defense. heading
Yeah,
into
but
the
they
year.
made, because a lot of that was based on they had 2 interceptions last year, which
Right.
is fluky low.
Right.
They invested in the pass rush. It looks legit. They're interesting. I think people are really pushing all in on them, though, now because they've been so good through 2 weeks, but it does feel like they are due for a letdown game.
Yeah, I mean, I would
seems
definitely.
crazy to like jump on a
Right.
defense against Pittsburgh.
But Seattle at home, they haven't really been that good this year, but in their first home game, they got sacks, they got turnovers, even though they got thrown all over in that game. So I still like them at home. I think that
It's
this is a
another
good
crazy
spot
one.
for
It's
them.
like starting a defense against
Right,
the Saints
right. I
and the
just
Steelers.
picked up the Seahawks to stream. It's
Yeah.
like wow,
And I like the Titans. Gardner Minshew, short rest, Thursday game. It's in Jacksonville, but still.
Gardner freaking Minshew, man. Gardner Minshew the second. There's no first. I
Yeah.
just thought we needed to get that on the record
We
on
do.
the podcast.
It's
There's no
really
first.
remarkable. The bad, I mean, this should be a no-brainer. People shouldn't need to be told don't play the Ravens, but they're owned in like 97% of leagues, and a lot of
Someone's
people
playing 'em.
don't like to get the
Maybe
the
Mahomes throws
second
an
defense.
interception this week.
He's due.
To go with his 5 scores.
I would also say don't play the Chiefs. And
I'm playing the Chiefs, but I don't really
Browns.
feel like dropping someone and picking up someone else. so.
that's lazy.
Yeah,
You should.
yeah.
Don't play the Chiefs. You can pick up any of these defenses.
I don't want to drop someone.
Why not?
Drop the Chiefs.
I don't
How
wanna
good
drop
is
the
your
Chiefs.
team?
The Chiefs have a good schedule.
Is it?
Yeah, who do they have next?
Nobody else in your league is going to be like, yeah, I'm going to snag the Chiefs defense.
Yeah, you can drop them and pick them back up.
Playing a pretty sick league.
Yeah.
Cool, bro.
Let me see who the Chiefs
Are you
have. the next
commissioner?
few weeks. I am commissioner.
You could just like do some commissioner stuff.
All right, so next week they're at the Lions, easy.
I'm starting Stafford again next week now.
Then
just
at
to
home
spite
against
you.
the Colts, easy. At home against the Texans, no big deal. At the
I mean, they'll get
Broncos,
sacks in that one.
Yeah.
That's not that good.
Let me-
You can drop them.
Yeah, you can drop.
I'll take a look just to appease you guys.
Thanks.
I'll take a look.
Hey, thanks.
I'll take a look.
makes
I
me
know you
feel
guys
better.
are worried about it.
All right, let's get to the random stuff. We already mentioned these revenge games, but which one's your favorite? Is it McDonald? Is it Demaryius Thomas?
Demaryius Thomas is going to be out.
Still though, he's on the sideline.
Yep.
Jim Schwartz,
Well, where
revenge
was-
game against the Lions.
Where was that in the defensive rankings? I thought that would come up in the
the
defensive.
Jim Schwartz?
Yeah.
That's a
Well-
reason not to like Stafford. Actually,
Yes.
right? Schwartz knows
You
the
know
weaknesses.
inside and
Make
out.
an argument for us, please, Matt.
Come on, tell me to
Jim
start
Schwartz
the Eagles D against the
sucks.
Lions.
Jim Schwartz called a timeout on a play or a challenge. He challenged a play that was going to be automatically challenged, and by throwing the challenge flag, they then could not review it because of a stupid rule. Cost the Lions a game on
Classic
Thanksgiving.
Schwartz.
I'm out on
And he
Jim
did,
Schwartz.
of course, he did on Thanksgiving, where
he
like
did.
everyone was watching.
So I'm out on Schwartz. That's
fine.
Hey
whatever.
guys,
It's fun to be a Lions fan.
if you forgot for the last 20 minutes, Matt is a Lions fan.
Yeah, I am a Lions fan. I remember
cool.
that. I saw it
Super
happen.
cool.
Daniel Carlson Revenge Game. I think that's my favorite.
I'm all in on that one.
He's just going
I
to be
like that he-
bombing 60-yard field goals.
It's cool. It's a good narrative though. They released him because he sucked, and then he's like missed one kick since he's been with Oakland.
So he lines up for the game-winning 52-yarder
he might
and drills
miss.
it.
They're just going for. They're just.
Oh, he is
going-
in
going for
Minnesota
field
though.
goals.
There's going to be bad memories there. So
There will
it's like,
be, but-
it's like interesting like mix
Could
of
be
revenge
House of
versus
Horrors.
right.
Well,
exactly.
but I'm trying to remember. I know the second game that was like the one that got him cut was in Green Bay.
yeah.
I can't remember where the first one
How
was.
many
though.
people on the Vikings don't remember that he was on the
Oh,
Vikings?
they all remember. They all
they?
remember. He cost him a game
feel
in
like
Lambeau.
Carlson?
Yeah, in Lambeau.
Are they going to
yeah.
like haze him when he shows up? Are they
Oh,
gonna-
it's going to be
bully him
boo.
around?
I definitely don't think there's
Do
going
the
to be
Vikings
those.
horn sound.
There's not going to be those fun like pregame pictures of guys like hugging the kicker at
No.
midfield. Like none of that.
even
No.
the punter. Holder?
There will be some. I think the holder.
Who's
if the holder's
Cousins'
still
backup?
there.
Who's Cousins' backup?
Isn't it the dude who used to play for that one team? It used to be Trevor Siemian. Now it's a guy.
It's Sean Mannion.
Yeah, that's right.
He's definitely a holder type. He's going to go over and hug Carlson.
Well, I don't think he was on the team last year. Siemian.
Oh, damn. So
yeah, maybe Siemian
will show
fly
up
in for the game
from the hospital bed.
And the long snapper is a 2019 draft pick, so it won't be him either.
Oh, they're not.
There's no love for Daniel Carlson.
Damn it.
Nope. All right, and then one more. This isn't a revenge game. I guess it kind of could be. The Jags defense should have revenge on their mind after the last time they played Tennessee on a Thursday night when Derrick Henry ran for 238 yards and 4
Christmas
touchdowns.
party night.
And ruined our Christmas party for me.
I mean, he didn't ruin it for me.
No, you were.
I got over it.
But it was ruined for me.
I got over it.
I have revenge on Derrick Henry on my mind this Thursday.
I still had fun.
Yeah, well, great. That's it.
Can I throw one random thing in?
Hit us.
Unrelated to football, just for our dedicated listeners that have been listening to us since
they've long turned up.
Right, and they've made it to this point in the podcast.
Since the week after May 19th.
Okay.
I would like to report that after waiting since May 19th, Mike Fiers finally got that win in the suspended game.
Yes.
They finished it out. It was actually about a week and a half ago, almost 2 weeks ago.
Right.
I was gone. It's not easy to look up a suspended game.
It shockingly isn't.
It's not easy because you need to know when it first happened. So you can't just go to like days and look for 2 Oakland games in the same day.
Right.
So I had to do some ask.comming to find out. And my friends over at ask.com.
Sounds like you're saying ass.com.
I may have mistyped it and went to ask.com for a few minutes there.
We've all done that.
But yeah, I mean, Mike Fiers got that win. So you can update your streaming spreadsheet and give us that win that we were looking for.
Yeah,
and,
we got it. Weekend streaming.
I know a lot of people were hanging on that, and we don't like to be like the Sopranos and not close plot.
Yeah.
So we close that right up.
What do you got?
There's one more revenge game we didn't consider.
Yeah.
Tyler Kroft.
He is
healthy, full go at practice today.
Wow.
He will be making his Bills debut in the Buffalo home opener against the Bengals.
Wow, that is a big revenge
I feel like
game.
there's probably other Bills and Bengals that were on each other.
Yeah,
those two teams look like they just kind of take from the same pool of NFL player.
Yep.
Wow. Lots of stuff. Lots of good stuff. Big week. As I said at the beginning.
You're only going to get it here.
We got it all covered. For anything we didn't cover here, including the Mike, we covered Mike Fiers' revenge suspended game. So I think we've covered everything.
I feel like if you stayed on this long,
you wanted to hear
You wanted to hear it.
Yeah, you wanted to hear it.
You're one of our
But for anything we didn't have covered, sportingnews.com/fantasy, where you'll find everything else. We'll be back next week, which I suspect will be another big week, and it's probably going to start with talking about Matthew Stafford one way or another.
Can you write that down in your notes?
Yeah.
That we need to talk about Matt Stafford ASAP.
I'll take a...
We won't let him forget.
It might even be one of those cool, like, beginning of the podcast, like...
Oh, a cold open?
Yeah, like a cold... We just get right into it.
Right.
And then you introduce everyone
Let's do
like
bits.
5 minutes in.
Yeah, let's do cold open bits now. Recorded audio only, cold open bits. All right, for and Billy Hay, and I'm Mal Tusky. Thanks for listening, and until next time.